90% of startups fail. That's not a guess, it's a brutal statistic. But what if I told you that most of these failures are predictable, even preventable, and that the winners, they don't just work harder, they play a completely different game? In the next minutes, we're going to unpack why most startups implode and what the top 10% do differently. You'll get behind-the-scenes insights, psychological tactics, and real-world strategies used by the most successful founders. Whether you're starting up, scaling, or pivoting, this episode could save you years of mistakes. Let's rewind to the startup boom era. Think 2008 to 2020, the golden age of venture capital. Everyone had a big idea. Apps were being funded before they had a prototype. Instagram was sold in under 2 years. It was intoxicating. But behind the glamour were the carcasses of tens of thousands of dead startups. Ideas that made perfect sense on paper, burned through millions, and then silence. The founders disappeared. Websites shut down. Investors stopped returning calls. So what happened? Most of these startups didn't fail because the idea was bad. They failed because the execution was disconnected from reality. They built without validation. They scaled without demand. They believed their own hype. This video is about separating signal from noise, what the winners quietly understood and acted on while the others spiraled into the graveyard. Here's the biggest myth in startup land. If you build it, they will come. Founders fall in love with their solution. They spend months, sometimes years, perfecting a product, obsessing over UI, adding features, hiring engineers, but they forget to ask one thing. Does anyone actually want this? No validation, no painful customer interviews, no traction, just vibes and vaporware. And then there's the funding trap. Startups raise $1 million, $5 million, sometimes $20 with zero revenue. That's when the pressure kicks in. Burn rate explodes. Now you have to scale something that hasn't even found product market fit. Here's what usually happens next. Hiring outpaces learning. Marketing burns cash with no return. Founders get distracted by press, panels, and pitch decks. Reality catches up. It's too late. Even worse? Many founders think success is about hustle. They work 16 hours a day on the wrong things. They don't sleep. They grind themselves into burnout, with nothing to show but a Medium post titled, "What I Learned from My Failed Startup." Harsh? Yes, but necessary. So what do the winners do differently? First, they validate brutally early. Before writing a single line of code, they test demand. They run landing pages, fake buttons, even Google ads that lead nowhere, all to measure real interest. Second, they prioritize problem obsession over product obsession. Instead of falling in love with a solution, they fall in love with the problem. They talk to users. They listen. They adapt. Third, they master resourceful scaling. This means doing unscalable things early. Personalized onboarding, manual fulfillment, hand-holding customers. It's not sexy, but it builds loyalty and real insight. Fourth, they embrace customer-driven iteration. Feedback isn't a nuisance. It's gold. Every support email, every user complaint is a map to what people actually want. And finally, they cultivate a resilient founder mindset. They understand that success isn't linear. It's chaotic. It's brutal. But it's also navigable if you stay mentally agile and emotionally grounded. One YC founder once said, "Startups don't die from competition. They die from suicide." The biggest battle is usually internal. Let's talk about Airbnb. In their early days, they couldn't get users. Nobody wanted to rent their space. So what did they do? They didn't build more features. They flew to New York and personally took professional photos of hosts' apartments. They did unscalable things. They learned what hosts needed. They made it easier. That single insight, better listings equals more trust, unlocked growth. Now take Quibi, $1.7 billion raised, backed by Hollywood royalty. But nobody cared. Why? Because they assumed users would watch vertical short-form video just because it was premium. They didn't validate. They didn't adapt. They died fast. Then there's Notion. They spent years refining the core product before launching big. But even more importantly, they built a rabid fan base by listening to their community on Reddit, Twitter, and forums. They grew slow and then exploded. These stories show the split. Those who chase scale too early burn out. Those who focus on user love, iteration, and slow compounding, they win big. Here's how to avoid joining the 90%. 1. Start with demand, not product. Validate the pain before building the solution. 2. Talk to 100 customers. Yes, 100. It's uncomfortable, but it's essential. 3. Build only what's needed. Don't gold plate. Ship early. Learn fast. 4. Avoid the funding trap. Don't raise until you have traction. Money amplifies, it doesn't fix. 5. Track retention over vanity metrics. DAUs, MAUs, sure. But if people don't come back, you don't have a business. 6. Do unscalable things, especially in the first 12 months. Build intimacy with your users. 7. Mentally prepare for chaos. If you're not adapting, you're dying. Stay flexible. Stay humble. These steps aren't magic, but they drastically improve your odds. Every startup graveyard is filled with brilliant ideas, passionate founders, and beautiful logos. But ideas don't win. Execution does. And not just any execution. Smart, validated, feedback-driven execution. The next time you hear someone pitch the Uber for X, smile and ask, have you talked to your users? Startup life is messy, but if you play the right game, you might just survive long enough to build something legendary. And hey, even if you fail, fail forward. Subscribe for more real talk. No fluff, just facts.